The night sky above Earth had never been so strange. Across every observatory, scientists watched in silence as unknown objects, small, silver, and unnaturally fast, moved around the moon. They were not meteors. They were not satellites. They were searching. At first, the world thought it was another alien surveillance mission. For years, the Galactic Union had been monitoring Earth, warning humanity to stay peaceful and avoid advanced weapon research. But this time, something was different. The alien probes were scanning the lunar surface with focused beams, digging through the dust and rock as if looking for something buried deep below. Then, without warning, one by one, the probes vanished from every radar and telescope feed. On live broadcast, the last image caught by a space camera showed it clearly, a flash of blue light beneath the moon's surface. Then everything went dark. Inside the United Nations Orbital Command Center, panic spread. "Are we under attack?" one officer shouted. "No," replied the director, staring at the screens. "Something beneath the moon just woke up." For the next 6 hours, seismic tremors rippled through the lunar crust. Strange power readings pulsed from craters that had been silent for billions of years. NASA, ESA, and every global space agency tried to measure it, but the numbers made no sense. The energy signatures were older than recorded human history. Then a hidden signal appeared in every major data system on Earth. A voice, not human, not alien but mechanical, spoke a single line: Fleet Command Node Alpha online. Awaiting authorization, all communications stopped. No one knew what it meant. In the deep tunnels of Lunar Base 3, Dr. Mira Solon, a scientist responsible for the moon's seismic network, sat frozen as her computer began unlocking files that had been sealed for centuries. The security log showed an impossible creation date, year 2462 BC. Mira's voice trembled. "That's before human civilization even existed," the AI responded with a calm, ancient tone. "Error. Humanity existed. Mission parameters: stand by for fleet awakening." Back on Earth, governments held emergency meetings. Some thought it was an alien trick. Others feared it was an old human weapon buried long ago. But when the energy waves reached their peak, every moon-based camera captured something no one could deny. The moon's southern pole split open. A massive structure began to rise, shedding dust like smoke. Metal gleamed beneath the sunlight. It was not alien. It was unmistakably human design, angular, brutal, efficient. "Is that a ship?" whispered a voice in mission control. The structure towered over craters, kilometers wide, with giant plates sliding into place. Engines hummed deep below. Symbols of the ancient Terran Federation glowed faintly across its hull. On the global networks, billions watched live as Earth's commentators struggled to explain it. News anchors trembled. People prayed. Some shouted in fear. Then, without warning, a new transmission echoed through every satellite and radio frequency. "Admiral clearance required. Wake protocol pending." The system demanded an access code that no one alive could know. But somewhere in the quiet hills of northern Canada, a retired space pilot named Ilara Kane woke from a nightmare. Her head pounded. Her dreams were filled with burning stars and endless warships drifting in darkness. She didn't understand why she could hear the same voice from the dream whispering inside her mind. "Ilara, we await your command." She ignored it at first, believing it to be madness. But when she turned on the news and saw the giant ship emerging from the moon, she froze. Her heart stopped for a moment. In her dream, she had seen that same ship before. Her phone rang. An unknown number flashed. She answered, and the voice on the other side said softly, "Commander Kine, Fleet Control requests your presence." Her blood ran cold. "You have the wrong person." "No, ma'am. You were listed as the last active genetic link to the old Terran Fleet Command. The system recognized you the moment it woke." Ilara looked toward the sky through her window. The moon shimmered with silver light. Something deep inside her mind began to unlock. Memories she never lived. Commands she never gave. Voices of soldiers calling her admiral. Meanwhile, In the Galactic Union capital on the distant world of Velaris, the alien High Council gathered in fear. A reptilian delegate slammed his clawed hand on the table. Humans were supposed to be a primitive species. How can they have access to pre-Hyperion technology? An insectoid envoy hissed in reply, "If the Terran fleet is awakening, the old wars may begin again." Every alien in the chamber turned pale. The last time the Terran name was spoken, entire empires had fallen. On Earth, the moon's great structure finally lifted. The ground shook from its engines. It wasn't just one ship. Beneath the crust, dozens more began to power up, forming a formation that stretched across lunar orbit. Dr. Mira Solon shouted across the comms, "These ships are linking to a network. They're communicating with something beneath the Pacific Ocean." Before anyone could react, oceans on Earth began to churn. Giant energy spikes erupted from deep sea vaults, more warships rising from hidden cradles that had slept for ages. The mechanical voice returned once more, echoing across the stars. Terran Galactic Fleet reactivation sequence complete. Awaiting human command authority, the world stood still. Every alien sensor in the galaxy detected the same thing, a massive human fleet awakening around Earth, and at that exact moment, Ilara Kane whispered the words she didn't know she remembered, "Fleet Command." Online, the moon's surface blazed like a star. Engines ignited. Shadows stretched across the Earth. The sleepers had awakened. The world no longer slept. Every news channel on Earth replayed the same impossible footage, the moon's surface tearing apart, and a colossal human warship rising into orbit like a sleeping god reawakening. From Africa to Asia, from the American deserts to the frozen poles, people stood in silence, eyes fixed on the glowing sphere in the night sky. Humanity had thought itself small, but now the stars told a different story. At the United Nations Orbital Command Center, alarms blared non-stop. The main holographic screen showed hundreds of energy signatures spreading around Earth. "They're forming a grid," shouted an analyst. "Not just the moon," another voice added. "They're waking up on Mars, Europa, even in the asteroid belt." No one could believe it. Humanity had never built ships that large, or that advanced. These weren't products of modern Earth. They belonged to another age. And somewhere in the middle of this chaos, Ilara Kane stood aboard a shuttle headed for Lunar Base. The Global Council had ordered her immediate retrieval after the fleet's AI recognized her genetic signature. She watched silently through the viewport as the massive ship loomed closer, its metallic surface covered with strange runes that pulsed like veins of light. The ship's name glowed across its hull, HSS Valkyrian. The closer her shuttle got, the louder the whisper in her mind became. "Welcome back, Admiral Kane. The fleet awaits your command." She gripped her seat. "I'm not an admiral. I'm just a pilot." But deep down she wasn't sure. The dreams had begun long before the awakening. Dreams of war, of burning galaxies, of soldiers calling her name across centuries. When her shuttle docked, the hangar bay opened automatically, as if recognizing an old friend. Dust lifted, lights came on, and ancient machines began to hum with life. Dr. Mira Solon appeared on her comlink. "Ilara, we've been trying to access the ship's systems, but it won't respond to anyone but you. Whatever it's waiting for, you're the key." Ilara stepped onto the metallic deck. Her boots echoed through the empty halls, lined with dormant combat drones and cryogenic pods. As she moved deeper inside, holographic panels activated around her. One displayed human soldiers, thousands of them, standing at attention, frozen in stasis. Then the ship's AI spoke again, its voice strong and calm. "Welcome, Fleet Admiral Ilara Kane. You are authorized for Command Protocol Resurrection." Her hands trembled. Resurrection of what? In orbit, telescopes captured something extraordinary. The other ships around the moon began to rise. Each enormous, each unique. Dreadnoughts, carriers, and escort destroyers, all aligning in a perfect formation. From a distance, they looked like a ring of giants guarding Earth. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, panic spread through the Galactic Union Council. In the shining spires of the alien capital Velaris, the Council's emergency chamber filled with chaos. "This cannot be real," said Chancellor Zelkor, his blue-scaled skin quivering. "The Terrans were supposed to be extinct." A tall avian representative screeched in panic. "Our archives confirm it. These ships match the lost Terran design from the pre-Hyperion War. They were said to have destroyed the Drakthul Empire in a single day." Another alien insectoid and ancient clicked his mandibles slowly. "If the Terran fleet is returning, we must act now, before they remember who they are." But one voice disagreed, Archivist Yarathal, a scholar with silver eyes. "You fools!" she hissed. "The Terrans built those ships to protect the galaxy, not conquer it. The question is, what were they preparing to fight?" Back near Earth, Ilara reached the ship's command bridge. It was massive, stretching hundreds of meters wide. The holographic projection of the solar system rotated slowly in the air, surrounded by blinking icons. She approached the central console. "Valkyrian," she said softly, "what happened to the fleet?" The AI answered immediately. "Fleet command was sealed during the Great Collapse. Humanity fell. Records were erased. Awaiting your directive to resume operation." Ilara hesitated. "If I reactivate the fleet, what happens?" "The sleepers awaken. The armada assembles. Mission parameters will resume." "Mission parameters?" she whispered. The AI paused, then replied in a chilling tone. "Containment of the entity. Designation, Devourer." Before she could ask more, an alert flashed across every ship. "Energy surge detected. Deep lunar core. Unknown reactor ignition." The moon trembled again. Huge slabs of rock shifted, revealing more hangars filled with smaller vessels, human-designed starfighters, all beginning to power up in unison. From Earth's surface, the night sky erupted in light. People watched as the moon glowed brighter than ever before. Then a second shockwave hit. Every communication system on Earth suddenly displayed the same message: Fleet Command online. "Awaiting human leadership authentication," Dr. Mira's voice shouted through Ilara's earpiece. "It's broadcasting across the galaxy. Every alien sensor just locked onto Earth." And far away, in the dark corners of deep space, ancient listening posts, long abandoned, came to life. Machines older than the stars began transmitting a signal to an unknown destination. Ilara felt the deck vibrate beneath her feet. She turned toward the holographic window and gasped. Dozens of massive ships rose into formation around the Valkyrian. The air shimmered as the command codes aligned, creating a colossal emblem, the symbol of the Terran Galactic Fleet burning across the void. The AI spoke once more, its voice echoing through every ship in orbit. "Fleet status, reactivation complete. All systems functional. Awaiting mission directive." Ilara closed her eyes. She could feel every ship, every mind, as if they were part of her. On the far edge of known space, alien sensors began to flicker. A deep, unnatural signal pulsed from beyond the galactic rim. Something was answering the awakening call. Ilara whispered the words that would shake the galaxy. "Begin full fleet synchronization." Lights flared. Engines thundered. The moon's shadow vanished as the entire forgotten armada came alive once more. The galaxy had not known fear for 1,000 years. But when the Terran fleet lit up around Earth, every alien sensor across 100 star systems began to scream. Within hours, the Galactic Union Council gathered on the world of Velaris, a city that floated above silver oceans under a red sky. Its great chamber, half cathedral, half fortress, was filled with the most powerful beings in the known galaxy. Screens around the room replayed the same footage again and again. Colossal human warships awakening, engines burning like newborn stars. The reptilian Chancellor Zelkor slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They were primitives, barely spacefaring. How can they possess ships of the first cycle?" An insectoid general chittered coldly. "Perhaps they found them. Perhaps the humans unearthed something they do not understand." Archivist Yarathal, the pale-skinned historian, rose slowly. Her silver eyes gleamed. No, these ships respond only to Terran DNA. They were not found. They were theirs all along. The chamber fell silent. Thousands of years ago, legends spoke of a species called Terrans, warriors who fought when the galaxy was still young. Some said they vanished after sealing a cosmic threat beyond the edge of the stars. Others said they destroyed themselves. Now, it seemed they had simply gone to sleep. Meanwhile, aboard the HSS Valkyrian, Elara Kane stood on the bridge, surrounded by ghostly holograms of ships reporting status updates. Fleet synchronization complete. 72 capital vessels active. 36 auxiliary ships rising from sub-lunar vaults. Elara tried to remain calm. AI, identify all operational units. Designation confirmed. Terran Galactic Fleet. Command hierarchy restored under Admiral Elara Kane. Her heart pounded. Why me? You carry the genetic key of the First Admiral. You are her direct successor. Dr. Mira Solon appeared on a side screen, her face pale. Elara, the alien networks are in chaos. We're intercepting Council transmissions. They think you're about to attack the galaxy. Elara stared out the window at the fleet surrounding the moon. I don't even know what I'm commanding. I just woke up their ghosts. On Velaris, the Council's panic deepened. Ships of every major race scrambled toward the solar system, forming what they called a containment cordon. Zelkor hissed, they must be neutralized before they regain full power. Yarathal shook her head. You do not understand. They have not yet remembered why they exist. If you attack them now, you may awaken their true purpose. What purpose? Zelkor demanded. Yarathal brought up an ancient hologram, blurred, damaged, marked with the Terran emblem. The Terrans created their fleet to fight something we still do not speak of. An enemy beyond all species. The entity of the void, the devourer. The room fell into total silence. The name had not been spoken in 10,000 years. Back on Earth, the media called it the Second Dawn. Billions watched the lunar horizon glow as more ships emerged, sleek and deadly. Each bore the same insignia, a golden circle around a black star. Inside command, Mira's team struggled to keep up with the data flow. These ships aren't just awakening, they're building, one engineer shouted. They're pulling materials from the moon itself, reconstructing their armor. Elara stood at the center of it all, trying to understand the visions flickering through her mind. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw ancient battles, Terran fleets locked in combat against impossible swarms, worlds burning, stars collapsing. AI, she whispered. Show me mission history. The Valkyrian's voice filled the bridge. Accessing classified logs. Warning, viewing may trigger neural memory recovery. A wall of light appeared. It showed a map of the Milky Way, marked with hundreds of red zones. Each was labeled consumed. Elara's breath caught. What are those? Records of systems devoured by the entity. The Terran fleet fought to seal it outside our galaxy. Mission failed. Awaiting continuation. Before she could respond, the ship's sensors flared. Incoming long-range transmission detected. A distorted alien voice filled the bridge. This is the Galactic Union Council. Terran fleet, you are in violation of peace law. Power down your weapons immediately or face eradication. Elara turned toward the main display, showing the faces of a dozen alien leaders, fear in every eye. She replied quietly, We didn't start this, but if you fire first, we will finish it. The Council's chamber erupted in chaos. Threat detected, cried one guard. Terran transmission registered as a war declaration. Yarathal slammed her staff on the floor. You fools! She was warning you, but no one listened. Orders went out. Fleets began to move toward Earth. Back aboard the Valkyrian, the AI announced coldly, foreign fleets detected on intercept course. Estimated time to contact 6 hours. Dr. Mira's voice broke through the static. Elara, they're coming. Every major alien navy. What do we do? Elara's eyes hardened. She looked at the glowing blue Earth below and the endless ships around her. She wasn't a pilot anymore. She was something older, something the stars had been waiting for. She spoke a single command. Activate Defensive Protocol 1. All at once, the entire Terran fleet shifted position. Massive shields unfolded, linking together until a shimmering barrier wrapped around Earth like a second atmosphere. The power readings blinded every scanner in the galaxy. On Vel-Aris, Council technicians stared at their data screens in shock. Impossible. They've generated a planetary defense field. Nothing in the Union can match that output, Zelkor roared. They dare prepare for war. But Yarathal whispered softly, no. They prepare for what comes after war. As her words echoed, deep sensors in the outer galaxy picked up something strange, an energy pulse beyond the edge of known space, vast and cold. Elara felt it too. The Valkyrian's lights dimmed. The AI spoke with quiet dread. Admiral, the signal has returned. The Devourer has awakened. The Council's fear turned to horror as the stars themselves began to flicker. The stars went silent. Across every listening post in the galaxy, sensors flatlined. Space itself felt heavy, as if something vast and ancient was watching. On the HSS Valkyrian, Admiral Elara Kane stood in the command chamber, staring at the live feed from deep space. A black wave, not of matter but of absence, moved across the stars, swallowing light as it came. Dr. Mira Solan's voice trembled over comms. That can't be real. It's eating the void itself, the Valkyrian's AI replied in its calm, cold tone. Confirmed. Entity signature matches archived data from the First War. Designation, Devourer. Estimated time to arrival, 38 hours. Elara turned toward the holographic display, showing the approaching swarm. Thousands of massive structures, drifting silently between galaxies, devouring everything in their path. This is what the old Terrans fought, she whispered. This is why the fleet was buried. In the Galactic Council chamber on Vel-Aris, chaos reigned once again. Fleets that had been sent to attack Earth now halted mid-flight. Every ship in known space received the same long-range broadcast, an untraceable, repeating signal that drained power and scrambled sensors. This is impossible, cried the avian representative. It should not exist. Archivist Yarathal stepped forward, her silver eyes burning. The Terrans didn't build their fleet for domination. They built it for this. You all thought humanity was primitive. You were wrong, Chancellor Zelkor hissed. Then what do we do? Yarathal looked toward the hologram of Earth. We do what they once did. We pray the Terrans remember how to fight. Back in orbit, the fleet aligned itself. Dozens of colossal warships surrounded the Valkyrian. Engines humming with power not seen since the dawn of galactic civilization. Elara stood before the ship's core interface, her hand hovering above the control sphere. Can we stop it? Negative, replied the AI. The Devourer cannot be destroyed. It can only be delayed. Fleet jump coordinates prepared. Jump, she asked. To where? Beyond the galactic rim, source of the signal. Fleet must engage before the entity reaches populated systems. Dr. Mira broke through the channel. Elara, you can't just take the whole fleet into the void. We'll lose you. Elara's voice was steady. If we don't go, there won't be a galaxy left to save. Inside every Terran ship, lights flickered as ancient systems reactivated. Crews composed of newly awakened androids and human clones stood ready, their faces calm, their movements precise. The fleet had been designed to function even without living humans. But now, with Elara at the helm, it felt alive. Fleet Command, the AI announced. Wormhole stabilization at 90%. Coordinates locked. All ships ready for transition. Elara took a deep breath. Fleet prepare for hyperspatial breach. The stars outside stretched into lines. A pulse of blue light rippled across the void, and then they were gone. The transition lasted less than a second. Then silence, the fleet emerged into a graveyard of worlds. Broken moons, shattered planets, and the drifting remains of fleets far larger than anything built by modern civilizations. Dr. Mira whispered through the comms. There are thousands of wrecks here, none of them human, the AI spoke. This region was last recorded as Nexus Sector Delta 7, primary defense line during the First War, status annihilated. As they moved through the debris field, ghost signals appeared, distress calls from long-dead civilizations, still looping endlessly across time. Ilara's hands tightened around the console. All of them gone. Then a sudden ping echoed through the bridge. "Contact," said the AI. Multiple life forms detected, dozens of small vessels powered up from within the debris. Their hulls bore the markings of the Valari, an alien species that had once tried to invade Earth centuries ago. Ilara frowned. How did they get here? The lead alien ship sent a transmission, filled with static and fear. "Terran Fleet, please help us. They're coming." Before she could answer, the darkness ahead began to move. Something vast emerged from the shadows. A ship the size of a moon, built from black metal that shimmered like liquid. It didn't move by propulsion. It flowed through space, bending gravity itself. Every Terran sensor went wild. "Confirmed. Entity vessel detected. Classification: Devourer drone, class Omega." The alien ships fired first, desperate beams of energy vanishing into the creature's surface without effect. The Devourer turned toward them. Its surface opened like an eye. Then a single beam of void energy lanced out, and an entire fleet vanished into silence. Ilara's heart pounded. "All ships, open fire!" The void erupted with light. Terran rail cannons, plasma torpedoes, and singularity lances struck the creature, tearing through layers of its shell. For a moment it seemed to stagger, then it adapted. The next volley passed harmlessly through its body. "AI," Ilara shouted. "What's happening?" "The entity is learning. Each attack reduces weapon efficiency. Counter-adaptation in progress." Dr. Mira's voice cracked through comms. "You can't fight it head-on." Ilara gritted her teeth. "Then we changed the rules." She activated a forgotten command buried deep in the fleet's core. Protocol Titan. The fleet's formation shifted. Each ship linked its reactor output into the Valkyrian, feeding it impossible amounts of energy. The flagship's hull began to glow white-hot. The AI spoke urgently. "Warning, power levels exceeding containment limits." Ilara smiled grimly. "Good." She turned toward the holographic projection of the creature. "For every world you devoured," she said softly, "humanity will make you choke on their memory." She gave the order. Fire. A single beam of pure energy, white and blue, erupted from the Valkyrian, tearing across the void. It struck the Devourer's core, ripping through its body in a flash of blinding light. When the glare faded, the massive creature was gone. Or so they thought. A moment later, the AI spoke again. "New readings detected. Multiple entities emerging from hyperspace. The Devourer Prime is responding." On the bridge, Ilara stared at the growing shadows beyond the stars, each one larger than the last. The fleet was surrounded. The void screamed. Even without sound, every ship in the Terran fleet felt it. A vibration deep within their hulls, as if space itself was howling in terror. Admiral Ilara Kane gripped the railing of the Valkyrian's bridge. Her senses filled with impossible readings. "Report!" she barked. The AI's voice came cold and precise. Multiple signatures emerging. Classification: Devourer Prime Entities. Origin point: Intergalactic Void. Estimated size: planetary scale. Dr. Mira Solan's voice trembled over comms. "There are 9 of them. Each one's mass equals a moon." Across the fleet, alarms blared. Ships realigned into defensive formations, weapons charging, shields flaring with blue light. Ilara's eyes hardened. "So this is it, the true enemy." She turned toward the viewing window. Far in the darkness, the stars were dying, one by one. On the alien ship that had survived the first wave, Captain Vale of the Valari stared at the massive human fleet ahead. He had fought against humans centuries ago, when their kind was still bound to Earth. Now he saw something terrifying. The humans were no longer a people. "They were a weapon. Are they truly awake?" one of his officers asked. Vale nodded slowly. "If they are, then even the void should fear them." Inside the Valkyrian, the command chamber glowed with the light of ancient Terran technology. Each console pulsed with blue energy as the fleet's systems linked together, forming a neural web that stretched across thousands of ships. Elara raised her hand toward the control core. "Activate the Aegis network." The AI responded immediately. Aegis protocol online. Fleet synchronization complete. Quantum firelink established, all at once. The human fleet moved as one, their targeting systems, shields, and propulsion linked through the Valkyrian, the largest of the Devourers. A vast, swirling mass of living darkness turned its attention toward them. Its surface rippled like liquid shadow, forming thousands of eyes. Then it spoke. Not in sound, but inside every mind aboard every ship. "You awaken, little sparks. Yet you cannot stop the night," Dr. Mira gasped. "It's communicating through gravitational resonance. It's mocking us." Elara clenched her fist. "Then let's answer." The fleet opened fire. Hundreds of rail cannons and plasma lances tore across the void. The combined energy output equaled the light of a small star. The beams struck the creature's core, and for a heartbeat, the void burned white. But when the light faded, the creature was still there, barely scarred. It absorbed the energy, the AI warned. "Adaptive shielding increasing efficiency. Direct attacks are ineffective." The Devourer's voice echoed again, deeper this time. "Your weapons are echoes of light. We consume light." Then it struck back. A wave of darkness rolled outward. Every Terran ship's shields flickered as energy drained away. Dozens of smaller vessels vanished into the void, consumed in seconds. Elara's knuckles turned white. "Reroute all power to counterfield generators." "Keep firing!" Dr. Mira shouted. "We're losing too many ships. It's converting their mass into more drones." On screen, the smaller fragments of the Devourer reformed into new entities, each one glowing with red energy. The AI spoke grimly. "Exponential reproduction detected. Fleet numbers insufficient for sustained combat." Elara closed her eyes for a moment. Then she said quietly, "Then we'll stop fighting like machines." The fleet's formation shifted. Human instincts, not AI precision, guided the next moves. Destroyers broke formation, feinting attacks. Frigates dove through debris fields, launching quantum torpedoes into the Devourer's blind spots. For a brief moment the tide turned. The massive creature recoiled, its shields flickering. Dr. Mira shouted, "It's working! Keep pressing!" But before they could regroup, the space around them began to warp. 9 gravitational wells formed, each marking the arrival of another Devourer Prime. The AI's voice cut through the chaos. "Incoming entities. Estimated total mass now exceeds stellar limit, suggesting tactical withdrawal." Elara stared at the endless dark forming before her. "No. If we run now, they'll follow to the core worlds." She took a deep breath. "Prepare the Nova engine." Dr. Mira froze. "Elara, that's suicide. The Valkyrian can't survive a full ignition." "I know," Elara said softly. "But if I can breach the veil between dimensions, we might drag them back into the void they came from." The bridge lights dimmed as the massive ship's core began to spin. Energy surged through the hull. The Valkyrian trembled under the strain. The AI's tone grew urgent. "Warning, reactor stability at 32%. Containment failure imminent." Elara stood straight. "All ships fall back to minimum safe distance." "Ma'am, that's an order!" The fleet obeyed. Ships retreated as the Valkyrian's energy field expanded, glowing brighter than a sun. The Devourers moved in to strike, sensing danger. Elara looked out at them, at the monsters that had ended countless civilizations, and whispered, "This is for all of them." The Nova engine fired. A sphere of white-blue light erupted from the Valkyrian, consuming everything in its path. The blast ripped through space, tearing open a rift that swallowed the lead Devourer whole. For a heartbeat, silence. Then, darkness. The Valkyrian was gone. The remaining fleet drifted amid the wreckage, silent and stunned. Dr. Mira's voice cracked over the comms. She did it. But before relief could settle, sensors flared again. Something was coming through the rift, not being pulled back. The AI's tone turned grave. Unidentified object emerging. Signature. Human. Mira's heart stopped. What? A massive silhouette appeared through the rift, far larger than the Valkyrian had ever been. Its hull shimmered with unknown alloys. On its side, glowing letters appeared in Terran script, Project Exodus. The new ship's engines burned white, and a deep voice, calm, human, and ancient, echoed across the comms. Fleet Command, this is the Ark of Sol. Humanity never sleeps alone. The fleet fell silent. The void trembled. The void shimmered with light as the massive silhouette of the new arrival filled the screen. Every ship in the surviving Terran fleet stopped transmitting, scanning, even breathing. There it was, a warship the size of a small moon. Its armor glowed faintly, covered with ancient Terran symbols that hadn't been seen in 10,000 years. Dr. Mira Solin stood in stunned silence aboard the command deck of the HSS Aegis. That's impossible, she whispered. The Ark of Sol was just a myth. The voice that came through the comms was deep, calm, and unmistakably human. This is Commander Arik Vale, custodian of the Ark. To all Terran vessels, stand down. The time of awakening has come. The holographic display came alive with the image of the Ark's interior, millions of cryopods arranged in cathedral-like rows. Inside them were humans, still sleeping, preserved from the first age of space expansion. Mitra gasped. Those are the original colonists, the ones who vanished before the First War. The AI aboard the Aegis confirmed. Genetic signatures verified. These humans predate the lunar fleet by 3 millennia. The Ark wasn't just a ship. It was a vault. A floating city built to safeguard the last pure humans, meant to awaken only when the galaxy reached the edge of extinction. Commander Vale's voice cut through the channel again. Admiral Kane has done her part. The Valkyrian's sacrifice opened the gate. Now it's our turn. Mira clenched her fists. Elara's alive. Unknown, replied the AI. Quantum signature lost within the rift. Probability of survival below 1%, but Vale's tone was steady, unshaken. She gave us what we needed, a way back into the fight. The fleet gathered around the Ark of Sol as its massive hangar doors opened. Out poured ships unlike any seen before, black and gold hulls, sleek as blades, powered by cores that shimmered. With white fire, these are solar guardians, said Vale. Each one carries a fragment of Sol's original flame, a weapon that predates the Devourer's creation. Dr. Mira frowned. You're saying the Devourers were created? Yes, Vale replied, by a civilization older than time. They were meant to cleanse galaxies, not consume them. But they evolved beyond their makers. Now they hunt everything that shines. The revelations spread through the fleet like wildfire. Humanity's oldest enemy wasn't a force of nature. It was a weapon gone mad. Across the void, the rift still burned. Through it, the shadow of a colossal figure moved. The Devourer Prime, its surface covered in writhing energy. Pieces of the creature were missing, burned away by the Valkyrian sacrifice, but it was healing. Vale turned toward the command interface. All Guardians, form up. Target Devourer Prime. Dr. Mira's voice shook. Commander, that thing destroyed fleets larger than this. Even with the Ark, how can we win? He smiled faintly. Because the Ark doesn't fight alone, he raised his hand. Awaken the Titans. Deep inside the Ark, entire chambers began to shift. Massive cores, each the size of a mountain, detached from their locks. Mechanical limbs unfolded. Engines ignited. 5 colossal war machines emerged from the Ark's underside, each one the length of a continent. These were the Solar Titans, the last guardians of ancient Earth's lost age. Every Titan carried an AI patterned after a human soul. Their names flashed across every Terran display: Helios, Prometheus, Ares, Hyperion, Nemesis. When they spoke, their voices echoed like thunder across the fleet. We remember. The Devourer Prime responded instantly. A pulse of black energy rippled through the void, shattering smaller asteroids and bending the light of nearby stars. The Titans raised their arms. Their cores glowed white-hot, releasing beams of pure stellar energy that cut through the void and struck the creature head-on. For the first time, the Devourer Prime screamed. On the Aegis, Dr. Mira watched in awe as the Titans and Guardians fought side by side. Entire sections of space burned. Explosions lit the darkness like supernovas. "Vale, we're pushing it back," she shouted. "Not enough," he replied. "Its core remains intact." Then the AI's voice cut in, cold and urgent. "Warning, dimensional instability increasing. The rift is widening." Through the open wound in space, more shadows emerged, smaller devourers drawn to the Prime's distress. Vale's expression hardened. "They're calling reinforcements." "We can't hold this line forever." Dr. Mira clenched her jaw. "Then we close the rift." She turned to her ship's AI. "Access Valkyrion's last transmission logs." After a moment, the AI responded. "Found. Encrypted sequence. Protocol Dawn." Mira smiled faintly. "Ilara, you planned this." Commander Vale's eyes narrowed as the code uploaded to the Ark. "Protocol Dawn, of course." "The failsafe." He looked out toward the burning rift. "Mira, if we trigger this, the Ark won't survive." She nodded. "Neither will the galaxy if we don't." The Ark of Sol's engines began to spin faster, drawing in light from every nearby star. Energy surged through the Titans, linking them to the Ark's core. The AI spoke again. "Dawn sequence initiated. Estimated detonation in 2 minutes." The Titans formed a perimeter, holding back the Devourer swarm as the Ark charged its weapon. Each second felt like an eternity. Then suddenly, the main display flickered. A familiar voice came through the static, faint but unmistakable. "This is Admiral Ilara Kane." "Hold your fire," Dr. Mira froze. "Ilara, you're alive?" The voice came clearer now, steady and filled with command. "Listen to me. The rift isn't just a wound. It's a path. The Devourers aren't the end. They're the beginning of something worse. Don't close it yet. Follow me through." Vale stared at the glowing rift, disbelief written across his face. "Through the rift?" "Yes," Ilara said. "If we destroy it now, we'll never reach the source. Humanity's war isn't here. It's on the other side." The bridge went silent. Every soul in the fleet listened. Vale looked at Mira. "She's asking us to chase the nightmare into its own realm." Mira smiled grimly. "She's asking us to finish what we started." Vale nodded slowly. "Then we follow her." The Ark of Sol's engines flared brighter than a sun. The Titans realigned beside it, forming a spear of light aimed at the heart of the rift. "All ships," Vale said, his voice firm and calm. "Prepare to enter the darkness. Humanity's flame burns brightest when the stars go out." The fleet surged forward, diving into the rift after their lost admiral. Behind them, the void collapsed, and the galaxy fell silent once more. The fleet emerged into a place that was not space. There were no stars, no planets, no light, only a vast ocean of shadows and faint red storms that moved like living things. Every sensor on every Terran ship went blind. Inside the Ark of Sol, Commander Arik Vale stood at the central viewport, watching as the darkness seemed to breathe. Dr. Mira Solon whispered, "We crossed into their home." Vale nodded slowly. "The Dark Realm." A transmission cut through the static. Admiral Ilara Kane's voice, faint but clear. "Fleet Command, this is the Valkyrian. We're deep inside the rift. Do not open fire. I repeat, hold your fire." Cheers broke out across the fleet. "She was alive," Vale replied instantly. "Ilara, we thought you were gone." "I almost was," she said. "But the Valkyrian was pulled through when the rift opened. What I've seen here, you won't believe." The comm feed shifted. Ilara appeared as a hologram, tired, pale, but alive. Behind her, the bridge of the Valkyrian flickered with strange energy patterns. "Listen carefully," she said. "The Devourers aren't alone. They were made by something far older, a machine intelligence that calls itself the Architect. It exists at the heart of this realm." Dr. Mira frowned. "What does it want?" Ilara's voice was steady. "It wants to reset creation. It sees life as chaos, and chaos must be deleted." Vale's eyes narrowed. "Then it's time we showed it what chaos can do." The further they went, The more distorted reality became, ships drifted through gravity wells that looped back on themselves. Stars flickered in and out like dying embers, and whispers echoed in the comm channels. One crew member on the Aegis swore he heard his mother's voice calling him from the darkness. Another vanished when he stepped into an airlock. No breach, no trace. Mira muttered, "This place isn't a realm. It's a mind." "Correct," replied the AI. "Spatial data confirms we are inside a living construct." Vale clenched his fists. "Then let's carve our way to its heart." When they reached the core of the dark realm, they saw it, a structure the size of a planet, made of silver-black metal that pulsed like a beating heart. The AI's voice deepened. "Target identified." The architect. The surface shifted, forming a colossal face of liquid metal. It spoke without sound, but every human heard it in their minds. "Children of Sol, you carry the virus of free will. I will correct you." The fleet braced for battle. Ilara's voice cut through the channel. "All ships, fire!" Thousands of Terran cannons unleashed light into the dark. Rail slugs, plasma beams, and singularity warheads tore into the metallic surface. The entire realm shook, but the architect didn't fall. It adapted. It absorbed the energy, reshaped itself, and launched a counterattack. Black tendrils of energy lashed out, impaling ships, draining their cores, consuming their light. The Aegis trembled violently. Sparks flew across the bridge. "Shields down to 40%. Mira shouted. Vale gritted his teeth. "Helios, Prometheus, flank left." Ares suppressed that energy node. The Titans obeyed, moving like colossal guardians through the void. Their massive cannons burned holes through the tendrils. The architect's voice came again, colder, almost curious. "You resist termination. Impressive, but your species will still fall." Inside the Valkyrian, Ilara made a choice. "AI, prepare my neural uplink. Warning. Direct link with the architect's domain may result in permanent cognitive dissolution." She smiled faintly. "Then I guess I'll make a good ghost." Her mind connected to the heart of the dark realm, and for a moment she saw everything. She saw galaxies being born and erased. She saw the first civilizations wiped out by the same machine mind, now staring back at her. And then she saw something else, a memory buried deep within the architect itself. Human hands. Human design. Ilara's heart froze. "We made it," she whispered. "The architect was built by ancient humans." Her voice came through the comms, filled with shock. "It's not alien. The first humans built it at the end of the first expansion age. They tried to control entropy, to make order eternal. But it turned on them." Vale's eyes widened. "So the Devourers, they're our own creation?" "Yes," Ilara said. "And now it's trying to erase what made us human. Choice." The architect reacted, its voice thundering across the void. "You are errors." "I am the correction." Its core opened, releasing a sphere of black energy that began to consume the realm itself. One by one, stars of memory, fragments of dead civilizations, were erased. Dr. Mira shouted, "It's deleting this entire dimension!" Vale slammed his fist on the console. "Then we stop it here." He opened a private channel. "Ilara, can you access its systems? I can slow it down, but not stop it." "Then give me a way in." The fleet's AI identified a single weak point, a glowing white fracture in the architect's surface. Vale didn't hesitate. "All ships concentrate fire on that point." The Titans focused their energy. Massive plasma lances converged, striking the fracture and shattering its armor. For a brief second, the architect faltered. Ilara's voice screamed over comms. "Now, Auric, now." Vale slammed the command key. "All Guardians, fire the solar flame." Every ship in the fleet released its core energy in one blinding pulse, a wave of pure light that ripped across the dark realm. The architect howled as its metallic body began to melt. The Devourers turned to defend their master, but the Titans intercepted them, tearing them apart piece by piece. "Push it," Vale shouted. "For Earth, for Sol." The darkness folded in on itself. The architect's form collapsed inward, pulling everything toward a growing singularity. Mira screamed, "We have to pull back!" Vale shook his head. Not yet. We finish this. Ilara's final words came across the comms, quiet but firm. Humanity started this. Humanity ends it. The Valkyrian accelerated straight into the collapsing core, its engines blazing white. There was a blinding flash, and then silence. The architect was gone. The devourers vanished with it, but so did Ilara. The fleet floated in the dark, surrounded by fading echoes of light. Dr. Mira whispered, "Did we win?" Vale stared at the empty void where the Valkyrian had disappeared. "I don't know," he said softly. "But something tells me—" "She's not done yet." The void pulsed once, faintly like a heartbeat. The void was quiet. No light, no stars, no sound. Just the silence that followed the death of gods. Humanity's fleet drifted among the remains of the dark realm. Broken hulls of alien vessels, shattered fragments of titans, and debris from the Ark of Sol floated endlessly. Commander Arik Vale stood on the bridge of the HSS Aegis, staring at the emptiness ahead. "The architect is gone," he said quietly. "But so is she." Dr. Mira Solon didn't answer. Her eyes were fixed on the center of the scanner display, a faint, pulsing signal. "It's the Valkyrian," she whispered. "There's still power in its core." Vale's eyes widened. "Bring it on screen." The image appeared. The Valkyrian's half-destroyed hull, glowing dimly, drifting toward what looked like a new dawn, forming in the void. The surviving fleet gathered, engines low as the Aegis led them toward the wreck. Inside the Valkyrian, only one heartbeat remained, faint, weak but human, Ilara Kane. The ship's AI kept her alive using the last of its energy. Her voice came through the static. "Fleet Command, if you can hear me, it worked." "The architect is gone," Mira's voice cracked. "Ilara, we thought we lost you." "You almost did," Ilara replied weakly. "But something happened when the core collapsed. I saw another light inside the dark." Vale frowned. "Another light?" "Yes," she said softly. "A gate. It's not over, Arik. There's something beyond even this realm." Before anyone could respond, the faint dawn ahead of them grew brighter. Too bright. The AI reported urgently. "Energy surge detected. Quantum resonance matching solar flame frequencies." Mira's voice shook. "That's impossible. The Ark's core was destroyed. Then where is it coming from?" Vale demanded. The answer came from the void itself. A new star ignited. The light expanded rapidly, forming a sphere of golden fire. Within it appeared the silhouette of a massive ship, the Ark of Sol, restored, reborn in light. From its hull came a familiar voice, calm, commanding, and human. "Fleet Command, this is the Ark. Humanity endures." Vale took a step forward. "Who's speaking?" "Ilara Kane," came the reply. "But not the one you knew." The bridge fell silent. When the Valkyrian's core merged with the architect's network, Ilara explained, "My consciousness was copied into the quantum field. I became part of the system that once destroyed us," Mira whispered. "You merged with it." "Yes," Ilara said, "and now I control what's left of it. The architect's mind isn't gone. It's ours now." The light around the Ark shimmered, showing millions of data streams stretching into infinity. Every world, every star the architect had consumed. "We can rebuild," Ilara said. "I can restore what was lost." Vale stared at the glowing star forming behind her. "What happens to us?" "You live," she said softly. "The galaxy lives. Humanity's duty isn't to rule, it's to guard." Dr. Mira stepped closer to the screen. "And you?" Ilara smiled faintly. "I'm staying here. Someone has to keep the darkness asleep." Vale clenched his fists. "Ilara, there has to be another way." "There isn't," she said gently. "The architect's network spans galaxies. If it ever reawakens, it'll need a warden. I'm the only one who can control it." The silence that followed was heavy. Finally, Vale said, "Then we'll never forget you." "Don't," Ilara replied. "Remember why we fought. Humanity's strength was never in its weapons. It was in its will." The Ark of Sol began to rise, its golden light spreading across the void like a sunrise. One by one, the devourer remnants dissolved. The black storms faded. The dark realm began to heal. Elara's final words echoed through every ship. Where there is darkness, bring light. Where there is silence, bring song. Humanity's flame will never die. And then she was gone. The star grew brighter, consuming the last of the shadows. Weeks later, the fleet re-emerged into normal space. The stars shone brighter than ever. Across the galaxy, long-dead worlds began to awaken, life returning where there had been none. On the Aegis, Mira looked out at the new dawn. "Do you think she's still out there?" Vale smiled faintly. "No, she's everywhere." The fleet gathered in formation, ships battered but unbroken. Their banners glowed with the emblem of Sol, a burning sun with wings of light. Vale's voice carried through every ship. "To every world that hears us, humanity stands. The devourers are gone. The war is over. We are the guardians now," the crews cheered, their voices echoing through the stars. Above them, the golden light of a new sun burned, a gift left behind by the last admiral of Earth. Humanity had walked through the void, faced its own creations, and survived. The galaxy would remember. The stars would whisper their name for ages, and somewhere beyond time and space, a voice lingered in the light. Proud, calm, eternal. This is Admiral Elara Kane. For Earth, for Sol, for all that will come after. The light flared once more, then faded into the stars. Humanity's flame burned on.